Hey guys, so today I wanted to show how I do my Protech buttons kind of from start to finish. So this is after they come off of the lathe and the mill. So you can see it's turned down to the rough diameter, or the right diameter I should say. And we've got the slots and holes milled in here and everything. The only thing is these are 17.4 pH stainless steel that needs to be heat treated. So we mill it in condition A, and then we have to heat treat it up to the H900 condition to get it up to like the 45 Rockwell C area. So after heat treating, you better get a bunch of scale because we're not vacuum heat treating this. So I hand finish each one of these to the finish that you're going to see here. So that was before finishing, and this is after finishing. So if I can get it to focus, you can see you get a nice shiny finish on here. We've got the vial installed. All the surfaces are pretty nice, and everything's got a pretty good even surface finish. And then once it's installed, it looks like this. So functions like normal, lockups like normal. We've got 30% lockup there or something like that. So nice and solid, no blade play, no wiggle, and functions just like it should. The Mordax and the Malibu are the same button, so this is going to be the same process for both. I'll go ahead and link those down in the description, but I'm going to get to work showing you guys kind of how to do this start to finish. So starting up, I do these about 1 to 2 thou oversize in the diameter on the lock face on bottom, that little cone. So each one of these I hand grind off that about 1 thou to 2 thou. I do that in a couple step process. I like to start with 150 grit just to get the bulk of the material off. Saves me a little time and effort, and it gives me a good, pretty rough scratch pattern that I can go and get out at later stages. So first step I like to do is just put a little put a little painter's tape or any kind of tape on the top here, so that way I don't get any nasty marks from the drill chuck. So this is just going in a drill, nothing fancy, but it's plenty concentric enough that the grinding process doesn't get thrown out of whack by it. So just go ahead and tighten that down, and then we're gonna rotate it. Then I line this up nice right here, just so that it's kind of nice and even across the entire thing. And then you can see as I start to rotate, you get a lighter corner on the left side, and it kind of slowly spreads across. So we'll do this for about 30 seconds, and that'll be a nice even finish and scratch pattern that I can buff out later. Sometimes it comes out of the drill chuck, just onto the floor. That is about good. I'm just going to go a little bit more on there. All right, now I'm going to take it up to 400 grit, just remove some of those scratches. All right, we can see that's looking pretty good. And I am happy with the way that that looks. And then just a final touch up with the 800. All right, so as far as the little lock cone goes, that gets us in good shape. The only other thing I like to do is touch up the stem right here and just remove some of that heat color discoloration. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now we are kind of done with that side. We're just going to turn it around so that I can polish up the other side. So I'm going to get myself another piece of tape to mask off the finished side. You can see the difference already looking at the difference from the top to the bottom. Big difference in finish there and how shiny it is. So getting myself another piece of tape. Alright, and then just attaching it to the areas that I don't want to touch. So right around that lock cone right there. I don't want to be messing with that. I don't want to mess up that surface that I just worked on. So we're going to put the tape right around there. And then because we're not removing any serious material here, you know, we're removing some, but nothing crazy. Don't need to worry too much about concentricity or any of the critical measurements for when these are turned, when they're manufactured, because we're not going to be taking any significant amount of metal off. So now I just like to start this with 800 or with 400 rather, and polish up the outside, just so we're looking good there. That's looking pretty decent. I'm going to bring it up to 800 now. Alright, that's looking pretty nice, so we are good there. So you can see now, I'll take off that. You can see we're in good shape for the whole button, other than the top. So the top is still looking pretty rough. What I like to do here is do just a straight pass, about as in line as I can get it with the slot right here. So I'm going to take it, line it up, and I will reposition the camera here so you can see too. So lined up roughly and just straight in a line a couple times, and then inspect it. So you can see we're taking off most of the scale there. We still have a little defect on top, just this little ring that we get from when we turn it. So I want to take that out, so it takes a couple more passes. Now, you can see that looks pretty good. I want to shift that scratch pattern just a little bit so it's more in line with the vial. So I like for everything to be in the same direction. Just a little bit more. And I think we can go ahead and call that good. So you can see the surface finish on there. It's really nice. So I'd call this like a hand satin finish. And for finishing metal-wise, that's about all we got to do. I'm going to stick it in the ultrasonic cleaner, get any particulate off. I'm going to blow it dry, and then we're going to install the vial. All right, so just as a point of comparison, I wanted to show on the left and on the right. So if I can hold the one on the right up. The one on the left is after we do all the hand finishing, and the one on the right is before we do anything, so straight out of heat treating. So you can see all the discoloration, you can see the surface finish is a little uneven, and you can see the finish on the top isn't the greatest. I mean, it's perfectly acceptable, but I like to bring things up to a higher level. So You can see all the finishes, all the surfaces on here are nice and finished. It's all kind of lightly polished. Everything's got a nice uniform scratch pattern. Everything's looking nice. So I've cleaned that up, and now we're ready to install the vial. So for this one, we're just doing the default, which is green. These ones use a 1.5 millimeter by 6 millimeter vial. So we're using green ones in this, and go ahead and take them out of my container. So we're gonna bring that out right here. I guess important to note, I have degreased my hands before this. Everything's clean. I made sure to wipe down with alcohol the surface over here, so we've gotten all the surface contaminants up. This optical adhesive can get pretty, I guess, hard to work with or gummy. I don't really know how else to describe it, and it'll pick up contaminants really easy, so it's important to have a pretty clean work area when you're doing everything with it. So I like to start with a microfiber towel like this, get to a good spot in my little dropper over here. So just kind of squirting out all the air until we get to a good spot. So you can see that I've got a good amount of adhesive that's in the tube right now. That is gonna go right into here, and I'll try and film this nicely. We're going straight into the vial slot in the button, and just kind of squeezing in until we're about 2/3 full. And then we're gonna pull away and then let pressure off of the vial, or the little bulb on the end. So now I've got my adhesive in here. What I need to do is take the vial and put it into place. So picking this up, and I'm gonna drop it in, and then real gently try and hold the bottom end of the vial as I tap this in lightly, just get it to drop in, and using the microfiber towel to wipe up any excess adhesive. So this is our kind of initial gluing, I'll call this, and I go back for a second gluing as needed too. You want to get it as full as you can on the first time without overflowing, but get it as good as you possibly can. You can do layers of this stuff, no problem. I could do this in 100 layers if I really wanted to, but it takes a lot of time, and it's just annoying to have to do glue after glue after glue, and individually cure all those layers. So we're just removing little by little, and I think now we're in a pretty good spot. So you want to remove all the excess without getting any contaminants or anything into any of the wet glue. So this looks really good. So that's good. I've got my UV light right here. So it's a 365 nanometer UV light. We're just going to turn that on and come in from about 12 inches away. Turn that on, and then real slowly going to drop into place. I am wearing UV protective glasses right now. I don't know if it's completely necessary, but I do think it's generally a good idea if you're working with stronger UV lights to make sure that you're protecting your eyes. I know they can damage them, and you know how that goes. So we're just going to hold that there for 10-15 seconds, and then we're going to move on to the sides. And then once we get this glued, I'm going to go back, I'm going to look, make sure that the glue is as flush as possible to the top of this button. And as long as everything's flush to the top or very close to flush to the top, then everything looks clean, then we're all set. If not, then I'll have to go back, do another layer of glue, just make sure everything's all properly filled in, and then redo it, you know? So now we're coming in from the side, a couple inches away, just approach in nice and slow. What can happen if you kind of start right away is these UV lights are strong enough that they can boil the adhesive. So you get this really, really cloudy, nasty looking glob of glue. Then you got to use a hook and a pick to kind of pick all the old adhesive out, which isn't so bad when it's brand new. But after a little while, it can be pretty frustrating to try and pick out. So it's better to just do it the first time, do it right, get everything nice and clean, and have a nice solid glue up with no kind of nastiness or cloudiness in there. So you want everything to be optically clear. Once you get used to working with this stuff. It's NOA 61. It's an optical adhesive they use for glasses and other eyewear and stuff. So it clears up to, I think it's like 99.8% clarity or something like that. It's very high clarity. It's better than like silicone or anything else that you'll see other people using in theirs. Figure if it's good enough for people to use on glasses, it's probably good enough to glue in these vials. It's also rated for metal on glass adhesion, so that's important too, because that's what we're doing, right? The vials are glass on the outside and we're gluing them to metal, so we want that contact to be good. I don't want these falling out. I don't want them going anywhere. So we're just trying to do as good of a job with that material selection as we can. So you can see here, I know it's hard to see in the video, but we're very, very close to flush. I think they were solid on the top right there. And then all the way around here, we're looking pretty good. So I'm gonna do a final cleanup, turn off the camera so that I can get my eye nice and close to this so you guys aren't staring at the back of my head. And just make sure this is all clean, and then we're gonna bag it up. We're gonna get the shipping label all printed out, and it's gonna go out tomorrow. So right, that'll get installed in a knife. This one is ordered for a Malibu, but it's the same as the Mordax. So you can see installed in a knife right there. Works perfect. You know, you've got nice detent on there still. Everything's functioning really good, and then the lockup is solid too. So you've got a good lockup in the back. Everything's nice. Everything's good. And right when you get these, sometimes there can be a little bit of lock stick just because it's brand new, you know, fresh out of my shop. So after, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 deployments, if it's still got a little lock stick, I recommend putting a little oil just right on the lock face. That can help it break in a little faster. If that doesn't work, then, you know, please send me a message, let me know, and we can get it sorted out and get it fixed. But that's the whole process, kind of start to finish, of how I make those buttons. And if you guys have any questions, anything else you want to see, please let me know. Don't hesitate to ask. And thank you very much.